What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, back out with another video. And today we are going to be giving you a brand new ranking. And today we are going to be ranking all the Jurassic films from the worst to the best. That, of course, being the 3 Jurassic Park films and then the 4 Jurassic World films. And for those who do not know, this was a whole entire review series where I reviewed every single movie in this franchise, building up to Rebirth in this video right here. So if you want my more in-depth thoughts on those movies themselves, they are on a playlist on my YouTube channel if you'd like to check that one out. Also, don't forget those apps if you're new to the channel, because number 1, it's absolutely free. Number 2, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm, and I recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join. And you feel free to comment your rankings down below, because this is definitely a very, there's definitely a bunch of different rankings out there for this franchise. And with that being said, guys, this is Grind 2. Remember Grind 2 as well. This was pretty much spoilers for later on in the video, but my number 1 is actually my favorite movie of all time. All the rest of them, even though there's only one other film I can say I love in this franchise besides the original film. As a franchise in and of itself, I think the Jurassic franchise is not one of my favorites at all. It's pretty much near I would say it's one of the worst franchises out there, but it's near the bottom of my list for sure. So, total of 7 movies. What ended up being my number 7? The answer is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Which, from most of the lists I've seen, this and Dominion are usually at the bottom, so I'm kind of like not one of the first people to have Fallen Kingdom at the bottom, so but even though I do have it last place, I do admit I would much rather rewatch this film more than the one I have above it, but still, I think on every single level, this is actually the worst Jurassic film that we've ever gotten. There's some stuff that I do like in here. The whole entire conflict of the movie that you have in here, where the concept of the film is that the dinosaurs are left on the island that they were on. In the last film, there's a whole entire volcano exploding, and basically they're going to kill all the dinosaurs. And you have this whole entire debate going on between people wanting them to be saved and then brought here to the US of A, or brought to basically modern society. And then there's the other side where they're going like, this is way too dangerous. They could kill lots of people. We shouldn't do that. That was a very interesting part of the film, because that would be an interesting conversation to talk about in real life if that ever happened with actual dinosaurs. Are we gonna leave them on the island where they are to die, or bring them to live among modern society? That itself was interesting. However, I think it's easily the weakest written Jurassic Park movie of the whole entire franchise. The Indoraptor in here, while the presentation of it is cool and it has a very unique design, I thought it felt, and there are some horror sequences with it that I thought were really, really cool, and I wish we had got more of. However, the villain, the creature itself, just felt completely one note at the end with what ends up happening to itself. So, that was a little disappointing. As well, this one has easily the weakest fan service out of the Jurassic World trilogy for me, with just so many moments that just felt forced and it didn't need to be there. On top of that, as well, they introduced this new character named Maisie, and they have this whole entire reveal, or this whole entire mystery surrounding her, that the whole entire reveal of what ends up happening, I'm not going to spoil it here, though, I was just going, why? I get it. It makes logical sense for that to, if they can bring dinosaurs back to life in this franchise and have that kind of makes sense, because they would have the money to do that. But still, I don't want that to be a part of the Jurassic franchise. So easily last place for me is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and it's the only film in this franchise I can say is close to bad. It's really, really close. I want to say it's bad, but I do... Even though I don't like the movie, I still think it's rewatchable. Above that, I think I actually have a hot take on the list.
Because I have at number 6, Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World.
And I would just like to clarify right here, I've never liked this movie. Because even when I was younger, when I just had the original Jurassic Park trilogy, Jurassic Park 2 was the one I always did not like rewatch. I always skipped over. I didn't want to rewatch that one compared to the other 2 movies in the franchise at the time. Watching it as almost an adult, that still goes for me here. I think it's the one in the franchise I like rewatching the least. I think that Ian Malcolm in here, don't get me wrong, I love him as a character, but I love him as a side character, not a main character. And part of the film, Jeff Goldblum feels like he didn't want to be there, to be honest with you. So that was just... And his character feels completely different from the first film. You do have some cameos from the people from the first film in here. For example, the 2 kids and Dr. Hammond that I thought was cool. However, characters were not the greatest at all, even though it does have a pretty good cast in here. You have Jeff Goldblum, Vince Vaughn, you have Julianne Moore, and then others in here as well that are a cool cast, but they don't really make the characters stand out, if I'm being honest. The main villain in here, I think, is, for me, tied with Fallen Kingdom for the weakest human villain of the whole entire franchise, which I forgot to mention that. And overall, this film just bores me. It's the only Jurassic film I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, that it bores me and does not entertain me a whole lot. There's some certain sequences in here that definitely are entertaining. For example, the whole entire cornfield. I think it is kind of a cornfield. Not really, but the whole entire scene with all the velociraptors attacking people and stuff in the bushes and everything. I think that's a cool scene. And also the T-Rex roaming New York City. I think that's where they're roaming. Those are some pretty good sequences. However, I do not like rewatching this film, and I would even though on paper it's a better made film than Fallen Kingdom, which I have below it, Fallen Kingdom I would much rather rewatch than this one, if I'm being honest. So from here on up, I would probably say these next 3 are pretty much tied where they land for me.
But I ended up landing on Jurassic World Rebirth at last place.
The only key reason why I put this below the other 2 that I have above it is just because the characters in here I did not care for, most of them. Jonathan Bailey's character, I would say, is the only interesting one out of all of them. But everyone else, Scarlett Johansson's character felt like she was just a female version of Owen Grady from the last 3 films. Sorry, I almost said 2. Then also you have Mahershala Ali in here, which I love him as an actor, and he does good in here. He just plays the generic brute character that you have some sympathy towards, but he's still not a great character in and of itself. It still has that Jurassic spectacle to it, so you do still get some great actions and sequences in here. The D-Rex I was 50-50 on, because on presentation, it looked very cool, and it kind of reminded me of the Xenomorph a little bit, so I thought that looked cool. There's some pretty cool kills throughout the whole entire film as well. But the problem with the D-Rex for me is... and also another thing to mention, the way the film leaves off with that dinosaur, I thought it was actually a pretty good idea. However, they just don't feature it in the film enough. I forgot to mention as well, you have this kind of second part of the what's the term? Second part of the story, I'm just going to say second part of the story, where it focuses on this family, and also the daughter's boyfriend, which I did not care for them at all, and I wanted them to focus back on the characters that are actually a part of the plot, where they're trying to get all 3 dinosaur blood samples, but it kept on jumping back and forth between them and the family, which I did not want it to do. I just wanted it to stick on the main sort of characters with Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey, even though I don't think all of them were great characters, beside from Jonathan Bailey. So, yeah, it was pretty much where I was expecting it to be, a little bit better. I could say I like this movie, but still, is it one that I enjoy more than the movies I have above it? No.
Number 4, probably another hot take, but I have Jurassic World Dominion.
Now, keep in mind that the time I watched this was a very, very bad time for me. So, because for those who do not know, the day I saw Jurassic World Dominion in theaters was actually the day that my dog passed away. Which, that's not really a great day to see a movie, but I wanted something to lighten up my mood. So we still, me and my sister, my mom and dad just ended up going to see this movie, hopefully hoping that it would cheer me up in some way. And yeah, it did that. It certainly did help with that day. However, and I also did enjoy the movie way more that time around than I did this time around. But with that being said, the 3 times I've rewatched it since theaters, I still do like the movie. I can say it very much. I still do like the movie, even though it has heavy, heavy flaws. If you watch my Jurassic World Dominion review, you saw, even though I did say I enjoyed the film, the issues I had with it, I went full-on rant mode in that video. So, even though I do enjoy it. Because, yeah, seeing the old cast back, all 3 of them back in the same film, was cool to see, with Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm in here as well. Along with that, you, of course, have, why am I blanking out? You, of course, have, the newer cast as well, which I think they all serve their purpose more, mainly Owen and Claire. The action sequences are pretty solid. However, this film decides to focus on locusts for some reason, even though it's the final film of the franchise, which I don't know why they just did. I don't know why they just didn't follow the ending that was set up in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom with dinosaurs roaming the earth. They just decided to focus on locusts instead of that, which I just thought was inferior. I didn't like it originally when I first saw it either. I didn't like that whole entire idea. The Giganosaurus in here, they were hyping up as, oh, it's the most largest predator the world has ever seen. Oh, it has this whole entire prehistoric rivalry with the T-Rex, with this whole entire clip that they uploaded to YouTube of the T-Rex and the Giganosaurus in the prehistoric period, where the Giganosaurus ended up killing the T-Rex. But that's not even in the movie at all. It was supposed to be the opening, and they just take it out. Where the Giganosaurus is only in the film here for 5 minutes, just to get to a climactic showdown with the T-Rex yet again in a rematch, which that made the Giganosaurus, for me, easily the worst dino villain of the whole entire franchise. And even though they were hyping it up as this big thing, they didn't. If it was in the film more, maybe it would be one of my favorite dinosaurs, but no. What other things in here? Also, they made Maisie an unlikable character in here, where I liked her enough in the first film, even though I was not a fan of her whole entire twist reveal with her character. But they just make her an unlikable teenage character in here that they usually do that trope in many movies. Blue gets sidelined in here for some odd what reason, even though it was made clear in the last 2 films how much of a part she is of this newer trilogy, and how she's one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet. They made that very clear. However, she's basically just in the beginning of the film and in the end of the film. She's not even a main focal part of the story, which just is wild that they did that. But, as I said before many times, talking about this movie, I still like it, even though it has a plethora of issues.
Number 3, I ironically have Jurassic Park 3.
Originally, when I was younger, this was actually my favorite of the trilogy. I've grown now, so I very much realize all the flaws now that little me was thinking. And I also had a very, very weird relationship with this film. So, of course, it was my favorite when I was younger. Then, when I grew up, I actually hated this movie. I did not like this movie at all. Then, I rewatched it again. I was going, I actually don't hate this film. I don't know why I thought I actually did not like this film at all. And I liked it then. And then, on this most recent rewatch, I can say I like it too. As you guys can see by its placement. The Spinosaurus in here, pretty I would still give the edge to the Indominus Rex for many reasons for my favorite dino villain of the whole entire franchise. But the Spinosaurus comes really, really close because that thing is a beast in here. You have the whole entire pterodactyl sequence, birdcage, whatever, that happens in this film that I thought was great, and it fully kind of leans into the horror side of things. A very creepy scene as well. Alan Grant returns in here, which he's a much better suiting lead than Ian Malcolm, even though I love both characters. What other things in here? And also, it is the shortest Jurassic movie, so that has that going for it, where, okay, yeah, I enjoy rewatching this one quite a bit because it has a very short runtime compared to most of the movies in this franchise. So, but however, I will admit the main family is all terrible except for Alex. I don't know why I said all, because Alex is a pretty decent child character. His mom and dad, however, terrible. I did not enjoy any of them, especially the mom played by Tia Loney, which she does good in the role. However, she does literally the stupidest things humans can do in the whole entire Jurassic Park or whatever, and she just does all of them, which makes her such an unlikable character for me. CGI in here is the weakest, I think, out of the Jurassic franchise. Also, it is the weakest written movie out. No, Fallen Kingdom is the weakest written movie of the whole entire franchise. This would be second weakest written of the whole entire franchise. But still enjoy Jurassic Park 3 for what it is.
Alan. Coming in at number 2, I have the first Jurassic World.
Remember that one movie I said the only film in this franchise that I love besides the movie I have at my number 1? This is the one. Jurassic World, I've always loved. I saw this in the theater. This was actually my first Jurassic film I was able to see in the theater. Loved it then, still love it now. Owen Grady, for me, is neck and neck with Alan Grant for my favorite main character of the whole entire franchise, which Chris Pratt does good in the main role. Indominus Rex in here, best villain of the whole entire franchise. Not just dinosaur villain, but best villain, including human villains. The cast in here is quite good. Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire in here does great. And there's these two brother characters. One of them's played by Ty Simpkin. I forgot the other name of the actor that plays the other brother, but them two are likable in here as well. The final act of the movie, even though yes, it's very, very fan servicey, I still think it's awesome with the whole entire T-Rex in blue fighting the Indominus Rex. I thought that was awesome. All the kills in here are pretty decent. Now, keep in mind, all these movies are PG-13, so most of them are censored. However, the ones that you do get in here, I still think are pretty solid for PG-13 and scary for sure, with all the horror-esque sequences with the Indominus Rex. So, Jurassic World easily comes in at number 2 for me. But number 1, was there any shadow of a doubt,
is the OG, the original Jurassic Park.
This is not just the best film of the whole entire franchise. It's not just one of the greatest films ever made. It's my personal favorite movie of all time. Everything about this is perfect. Whether it's the characters of Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, Dennis Nedry, who's like a side character in here. He's still great as kind of an antagonist. Dr. Hammond, Ellie Sattler, so many phenomenal characters in this. The animatronics, of course, amazing, groundbreaking for the time. The main score by John Williams. for me in my top, like, 3 best John Williams scores of all time, for sure. And I just love everything about this movie, so it easily comes in at number 1. But with that being said, guys, be sure to let me know your list of all the Jurassic films ranked from worst to the best down below. And stay tuned for my Superman ranking I've planned when I get done reviewing all the Superman movies, including the James Gunn Superman. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace out.